funny, doesn't it? Doesn't sound that good because it hasn't got an exhaust on it. Welcome to this video on where I'm at with the Plymouth. I'll talk a little bit about the XC, what we're doing with that, and also a quick look at the XD as well. Before I go any further, I just want to say thank you very much to everyone who's contributed to Patreon. Of course, I plan to put photographs in the end titles of bits and pieces that I've bought, but I've bought lots of little odds and ends, and I've left the Patreon money separate from what you get with Google AdSense, if you know what I mean, so that I could report on what I've got. And of course, the first thing I bought was lots of bits and pieces to get the car going, the Plymouth going. You know, paint and leads and wiring and all this sort of stuff. The Patreon stuff paid for a lot of that, and also the radio that we did a video on not so long ago. And of course, I've got to finish the radio, got to get some valves and capacitors and all this sort of stuff to redo it. But I just wanted to say thank you very, very much to those that contributed to that. It's so well appreciated. So in this video, we get the car going. We talk a bit about the Plymouth. It's about to get really expensive because the trimming is going to be between $8,000 and $10,000, which is a huge amount of money. And so when I get to that stage, I mean, that amount of money will completely finish the XC. So the XC really does have priority. I just wanted to get this thing going. I had it going a while ago, but it was difficult to start, and I didn't like it. So I've redone a few things, pulled the distributor out, mucked around with it, done this, that, and the next thing. So I'm waiting on a couple of bits for the XC, and I've already mentioned all that, and then we can sort of go full steam ahead with that. It's about $2,000 worth of stuff I need to get for the XC in terms of getting the wheels redone, the tyres, and all the clutch and gearbox related stuff that I need to put the engine in and get it going. And so once I've done that, I can put a headlining in, put the glass in, and so on and so forth. But doing two cars at the same time is a horrendous idea. But you know what? Impulse buying is something I've done in the past, and the Plymouth was one of them. The MG was an impulse buy. I never regretted that. I've had it for 12 years. So it's something I kind of do, which I shouldn't. But anyway, I'm known for that. So, hope you enjoyed this. This is a go-between video. This is where we're at. And I should have another one loaded up fairly soon. So, I hope you enjoy it. Right, distributor. This thing's being a little bit difficult to start, and it can be attributed to timing being wrong because the points are shut and all this sort of stuff. Here's the distributor. It's an old-looking bit of kit. Very free to spin, which is cool. It's got this little lubricating thing for oil there, which is... This is why I like this sort of thing. It's a cast iron body, it's manky looking and all the rest of it, but it does have a lot of period kit on it, which is quite pleasing. Although this wire is threadbare there, it's all gone through, so we'll put a new wire on there. That's no biggie, it's very easy to do. I might even reuse that terminal. The advance is working, and we're all good. It does have a couple of little hiccups. There's the condenser, of course, and it had a plastic sleeve which is all sort of broken down. So once that earths, we'll get problems with the points being ineffective and the thing not starting. The points themselves are healthy. They look to be reasonably new. There's a slight bit of pitting on the edge, so I'll just resurface those and I can use those again. It might be better just to get an electronic module for it, but I've decided to go down this route for now. So we'll see where that leads us. I think the first thing I'm going to do is dig out this wire and put a new one in. Right, this thing is safe. Cut that off there and see if I can just prise that out, thereby reusing the grommet, which is cool. I can get new wire through there, that's good. So onward and upward. Now these, you can probably get new ones of these. I don't have one, but because they're sort of brittle, I'm just going to run a drill bit through there by hand just to clean it out, so then I can get that cable through. There's that guy, probably one of the neighbours got motorbikes. Oh, look at that. I just wanted to keep the factory look. It's probably silly, but you can always put a bit of elastic or something in there if you want to seal it off again. But anyway, that's just the look I'm chasing. So, this is already loose in its connector. I think the outer sheath is all gone. It's all rotted and gone hard. I mean, I could just use the normal spade connector, but I just want to use, because it's like a horseshoe shape almost, and as well as being sort of, your screws fit snugly in there. It's a nice bit of kit, so I'm just going to reuse that as well, I think. And we can get new condenser if we want, but I'm just going to... I just want it to run properly. I've started it, but it's hellish to start. Come on, go over. It's hellish to start, but not just that, it's I mean, I don't really know how much it's covering. There we go, we can just use that. I'm not even going to bother heating that up. That'll heat off of its own back. Heat up of its own back, sorry, and stay there and insulate it quite well. So that's cool. We can just go with that. I've got a bit of a... The only thing that's not working is the... It's not showing any charge rate. Is that recording? Yeah, it is. It's not showing any charge rate, so I've only got 12.3 volts here. Try and start it. Charge light's on, so that's causing a bit of a worry. I'll tell you what, if that's the only problem, I don't care at all. I'll just make it work, and my son's come to have a look now. So all the systems look really, really good, which is absolutely awesome. We can put that air cleaner back on now. I've got to rig up some sort of manual choke cover. I've got a zip tie in there just to hold the butterfly shut when it was cold. But as you can see, it started really, really easy. I've got an issue with the lead. I made up this lead here, which is pretty dodgy because it's not reaching in far enough, so I've got to do something about that. Holden 6-cylinder one would fit that beautifully. And of course there's the distributor. It's had a rattle can paint job. Everything's working well. The centre shaft has very, very little play in it. Very little play in fact, and the advance is working beautifully, so I'm very, very happy with that. So that's a bit of a win. So I've made this out of a scrap of gal sheet and put a safety fold in it, put it through a roller, and of course that'll clamp up with this hardware over here. Just course 1/4 inch fine and put washers on and all this sort of stuff. Anyway, that'll all clamp up nicely on it. I shouldn't really put foam. It's not that good really, but it'll tighten up well. I measured it properly. So I'll just put a bit of vinyl on the inside of it, just to give it a bit of padding, and I've got this off an old Woolsey I did years ago. So I'll cut a strip of that and just stick it to the inside. This is absolutely great stuff. It's the Permatex. It's the proper carpet adhesive. It sort of comes out in a zigzag, sort of. I don't know if you can see that. It sort of just comes off in big chunks like that. And of course I can do on the inside of this thing as well. I'm getting it all over the XC. And that'll just hold it there. Oops, clean the jet out. Yeah, that'll do. She'll be right. And we'll just let it take off and put it on. Just know those birds, they're nuts. They either have crows or those corral things, and they're oh, I'm making a mess of this. They're like cockies, if you know what I mean. They chew all the buds off trees and they cover your car with them, so you can't sort of park under the trees in the late summer, autumn. Okay, so I can just... Now I measured this carefully, so really we should use foam on the inside of that, but I don't think it's going to matter too much. I'll just trim that off and it should be good to go. So get a razor blade. And we can just run a blade on the inside like that and you get it nice and tidy. If I don't cut myself. I'm working on a trestle. I've got no bloody bench room in here anymore. Oh, look, that's fine. And nobody's going to see this either. I mean, it's not like it's a show car or a show piece, if you know what I mean. So I'll probably cut the rest with scissors now. My son's on the phone. They use that Skype thing. I don't even know how it works. They talk to each other and they look at each other when they're talking to them. our little engine that could is still warm. I can sneak that down there. It's going to kind of go in like that. And it's got to sort of go around there. And then that's got to go in. And then swing it around so it's under there like that. And then get these back in somehow. Where the heck's the hole? It looks like I've made it just a fraction too snug. Because it's been quite difficult to get on. I've got to get these lock washers and flat washers and nuts and things on. So it is a bit of a fail in some ways, but it's not too bad. I want to scratch up my nicely painted engine. Maybe if I twist it around a bit, it might be a bit easier to get to. It's just a little bit too snug though. Just a fraction. I want to get these started so that the engine's still warm too. I started just before and it's still nice and warm. Tighten it up and sort of put this bit to bed and the air cleaner can go on. Then we can sort of finish what we're doing on the brakes. I've got to put the new body mounts on too, because the body mounts are toasted on this thing. Because the old ones we used, the body and the chassis are all done up, and of course you put the old body mounts on, which is a bit disconcerting, but it doesn't matter. I can work around that. Put some new ones on. I'm pretty confident I can do it well. So just tighten that up and those and we're good to go. Doesn't have to be awfully tight. It should snug up perfectly without causing any more sort of duress to the heater box, but it's a little bit loose there still, but once we tighten that, so I took a little bit of time, measured it, but I did make it just that great, that little bit too, Struth, where did that go? Too loose. Murphy's Law said if you drop a spanner, it'll go right into the centre of the car. There we go. I've got to put that, there's a gasket and also a clasp that goes around there, but it's sitting up on the other side. You can see here. I can still get to everything to do mixture adjustments and all that. That's easy to do. I've got to put a manual choke cable on and change that coil lead, but aside from that I think we're pretty good to go. I'll just try and find that clasp. I can't remember where I put it. And this sort of goes on that side. It goes around there, but it sort of goes around the carburetor air horn first, I think. That's a bit better. I think that's sealing. I certainly hope it is. I'll just tighten these up and we're done. Right, I want to. Well, that does look nice, doesn't it? Doesn't it come up beautifully? I want to talk about these. These are the mounts, and of course this one's the rearmost mount from inside the back of the boot or the trunk. And you can see how rusted it's been, and in the past it's sort of all been rusted away. So that's toast. I can't do anything with that. And of course, here's one from the body, and it's just a 3/8 fine bolt, I think. It's probably a grade 5. I can't really read the markings on the top. But again, you know, it's got a little cut in it there. They're perished. These are the lower, hang on, no, these are the lower ones. So of course the upper ones between the frame and the body have absolutely ballooned out and they're all cracked all through. The good thing about it though is once you take these out, you can see there's nice fresh paint underneath. So it has been, it has had that body off as it was promised when I bought it. But of course, running out of money and having to get rid of the car, they've sort of banged it back together. Now what this means is, I don't want to take the whole front clip off, but I will take the front guards off, the bumper, and the bumper at the back, and jack the body up. Now I'm going to do that. I only need to jack it up about 10 to 15 millimeters, sort of centimetre and a half, just so I can feed in these new mounts from sort of underneath, because I don't want to put glass or anything in until that's done. That's the sort of the foundation, so it really does need to be addressed first. Now for those following the XC restoration, I've taken the EGR plate from this engine to work to have a stainless steel plate cut for it, so that it sort of blocks off the EGR from coming up from the cylinder heads and so forth, going through the valve and into the engine. Now they use a steel sandwiched gasket, and it's a thin steel sandwich gasket. I'm getting it done about 1 millimetre of stainless steel sheet, which will unequivocally seal it up. Of course, we can use grub screws and stuff in the manifold and that sort of thing, but they have the EGR plate and it's been there for a while. I have the carburetor rebuilt for this, so I'm about to put the carburetor on and sort it out, the Carter Thermoquad, and then this engine's ready to go in, but I still need to buy a few parts, which I outlined in one of the other videos, you know, clutches and all sorts of things, or flywheels and what else, clutch fork and all that sort of business. So that's coming as well, and I'm about to take the wheels off for the XC to be hydro-dipped or hydro-blasted and re-clear coated, re-powder coated. So the XC has been put on the back burner, which is not something I plan to do, but also mother's moved from her house, as I said before, and there's all sorts of junk. I don't know if you can see it from there. There's computers and all sorts of stuff, and junk from the other house, which I have to sift through as well. So it's been a trying sort of time, you know, with managing time and that sort of stuff. So work is looking much better. It works better this year than it was last year, but so far. So I'm sort of enthusiastic about that. And of course, writing new curriculum for 2-year levels, that sort of thing, because the old stuff's well out of date and it's not really ticking the boxes now. So there's still a lot going on. It's just taking a little bit longer and a lot more money, if you know what, if you know what I mean, before I can sort of put it into effect. But the XC, I am absolutely sweating to get this engine in. Can't wait, because the deadline for the XC as a driving shell was supposed to be the end of last year, and of course I bought the Plymouth and rebuilt this, and I've got another one half rebuilt and this sort of thing. So I really did lose sight of the goals, but we are still on track. Another thing I'm super excited about is, of course, the re-release of these gear knobs, the single rail. Did I talk about this in another video? I can't remember whether I did or not. I can't remember. But these are traditionally a top loader shift pattern, so the reverse is down next to second. These were only, I think, late XB. They weren't XC and they weren't they weren't XA, because XAs were a top loader. They weren't early XB. They're only late XB. And of course, XCs and Ds had that acorn shaped knob, which I don't like the look of those, and of course the XZ had the banana shaped one, but that was only available. They've done this for the XB GT people that had the later XB GTs with the single rail, but I'm absolutely chuffed about that. $44, I think? I don't know. But I'm itching to get this gear bag in the car so I can have a good look and have a fiddle around with this. I'm really super excited about it. So that's a win. I was hoping they would do that, because the original ones, top loaded ones, are about $10 or $15 cheaper. I was going to try and melt in with number stamps, heading up number stamps, and sort of redoing the R, but I don't know. I don't think I could have done it too well. It's much easier just buying a part like that. Right, so waiting on the sandwich plate to come back for the XC. There's a spider in there. I've got my lovely carburetor, the one that I rebuilt this a month or two ago. There's the idle up solenoid that screws in there. And of course, I'm waiting on that other part to come back. But in the meantime, I've got this EGR valve. And I'll tell you what, this electroplater I used, I would never use again. Warner's Metro Welding, the only way to go with that. I'm just going to I'm just using some junky old enamel. I'm just going to paint around it. Just to, I really hate his work, but I just want this part to be black. And you know what? You'll probably never see it again. It's one of those things where you would never notice it, but it's just a clean looking thing if you do see it, rather than, you know, looking like it did. So I'm just going to run around here and finish it. And I've got my own glasses on again, so I might change my glasses before I start spreading this stuff all around the world. Well, nearly done. I know there's no such thing as a great looking EGR valve, but if there was an EGR valve show, this would be most likely up on the podium. And now you know I'm talking crap. So, look, it's just another way to make it look, hey, make the car look original. And I don't think these were painted. I think they were just a raw cast iron. But, or at least this part was, the part that I'm painting. So, it doesn't matter. I just want to talk a bit tidier. I'm just hoping when I put that carburetor on, that it's as good as the cheapy one I bought for the Plymouth. I bought that 2-barrel Chinese one, and the car runs beautifully. I had a bit of a fuel leak issue with it, in terms of the intake, or the fuel inlet, but that subsided fairly quickly. Okay, so that'll do. Beautiful. And of course, once that's put on the car, it should look really, really good. So I'm happy with that. So it's all I've got to get is that blade back, and that thing's on the engine, and we can start it and run it, and I can move forward a bit with the XC. Now, I used to love storing cars and bits and pieces at my mother's house, which was, I sort of enjoyed it for selfish reasons, I guess. But one good thing about cleaning a place out when she moved was I'm finding old stuff. And of course, here's this hose here. It's got the reducer on it as well, and that goes from the carburetor vent to the canister. And it's very, very difficult finding hoses like that now. So I was very pleased with that. Most pleased. Although look at this. I'm going to have to get a new one of those. That's knackered. I don't like that. He hasn't rinsed it properly. Now this is living proof of why I did a stupid thing. When you have a specialist, in this case an electroplater that's not open, don't go to a different one, because you're going to get rubbish back, which is what this is. My initial electroplater is doing this sort of work, really bright, beautiful work that's never given me any hassle. This bloke obviously hasn't taped off, or at least blocked off the diaphragm. One of these diaphragms in this housing here was absolutely full. So I can only assume that it's completely corroded inside. I'll just take off the bit that I can get to, and I'll buy some new diaphragms, I think. I don't know, but yeah, that's pretty rotten. Right, XD. And if I just whip this cover off quickly. And I'll take the oil filler off. That's what I like about these air cleaners. You can just sort of take them out, move them to the side, and you can see everything carburetor related. Now this is completely untouched. I took the carburetor off in 1990 to have it overhauled. It's still fairly clean inside. But what I'm looking at are things like this. On the thermostat housing, there's 2 TBS switches on the XC, only 1 on the XD. TBS is thermal vacuum switch. Of course, this one controls distributor. So in other words, there's no advance when it's cold. And there's another one that goes up to the EGR. There's the EGR at the back, and this one here goes forward and goes straight into one of the ports on the carburetor, which is that one. So this is all factory. Nobody's touched this before, which is a shame, because I'm going to have to take it out at some stage because the engine's tired. But it's just good noting all the original wire secures and all this sort of stuff. So it all has to be sort of looked at. There's that tube I was telling you about that went to the canister, which goes all the way around there into the canister. XC uses a bigger canister, but I'm using this as a car also as a model. You can see the power steering line down there going through the radiator support. It's different on the XC, but it's very, very similar. So I just want to make sure that our XC looks as legit as this, or at least if it can't, because won't have any patina to it, but as close to as I can, because I do like the factory look. So I can forget about this for now. I've blocked these off until we get the heater core. Those springs are terrible. We've got to get new ones of those. But distributors all rewired, redone. Advanced line I tried to make nice, but oh well, you can make your mind up with that. It's all rewired, all good, so I can forget about this. So I've got to move this. Oh, I disconnected the battery. That's better. Anyway, take care of yourselves, enjoy your classic, and I'll see you later. watch around here, there's 40 zones. It's a permanent 40 outside of school. It feels like you can get out and push. But it doesn't matter how fast you go in a car like this, you just enjoy it anyway. It's really cool. I rebuilt this transmission 89, 90, around then, and it's still lovely. It wore out prematurely, I think. It was just mainly clutches and the little balls in the valve body and little check valves and stuff wore because it was just getting so hot with the horse float on it. Did a lot of hard work in the 80s. The compressions are down in 2 cylinders though. I'm just going to go down here. This is the new aquatic centre. Pedestrians around, we have to be really careful and stuff like that. I've got to get the exhaust done. I don't like the droning. It's just too noisy. This car was always whisper quiet. And I remember when Mum and Dad picked me up in 1979 when it was brand new. I was in year 7 and it was space age. It was so modern. No one could believe how modern and so forth it looked. One of the things I particularly like about this car, even though we've had it from new, is the fact it's a GL V8. So it had, it was optioned with a 302 engine and a clock and a few other bits and pieces, class 1 towing pack or something, but most V8s are gears with the occasional Fairmont. Most of these things, of course, were 4.1 litre 6s, but this is a proper V8 one. So despite the fact it isn't a factory 351, it doesn't bother me. It's just what it is that I like so much. The interior did fail. The vinyl all split, and I put those gear seat covers in. They're the original frames, original padding, everything. Just the seat covers are out of a burgundy one that was rusted out and of course being wrecked, and of course they're all the original headrest behind there and everything. So it's all, I've kept it as original as I can. Steering wheel's still tight, there's no flexing or anything like that in it. It's a beautiful car. It's an absolutely lovely car. This is probably the most least valuable car I've got, but in terms of sentimental value, this is the one I'll never ever get rid of. I'm not sure I like this, but anyway, I really am going now. Take care of yourselves. Enjoy Classic. See you later. And what was the other thing? Take care. Anyway, bye.